Well, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. We're so glad you're here. Today's program is absolutely fantastic. We are so excited to welcome Susanne Ekström to our global stage, and thank you to each of you for being here. We're all about learning, sharing, growing, collaborating, and thank you for coming to our council interactive gathering. We are just thrilled. And with this, I am so excited. I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of the C-Suite Network, Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. I'm saying this fast because we have a lot to discuss with our guest speaker today. And our council is so special because we get the great privilege to come together to talk about important topics that are timely. We're all about speed, timeliness, and giving you a platform to grow and to escalate and to rise in your practice, in your business. And so thank you very much for being here and letting some folks into our room. It's great. Hey, before we start officially, big shout out to you, Susan K. Younger. Thank you. You led a fabulous deep work collab with our council, an opportunity that we could actually just take a pause and take a breath. Anybody need a pause or a breath every once in a while to come and actually get some work done in our collaboration? It was super, super, really good. And then, of course, last week's program, we talked all about what's important now, how to go from invisible to in demand. And be sure to catch the replay on our YouTube channel. It was fantastic. Lots of great perspectives on how to do this, how to be more strategic in our business. So thank you, thank you. And of course, our global authority study research project is on, ladies. It's on. Just going to be up for about 3 more weeks. Go to the URL at the very bottom, tiny URL, C-Suite WCCC, as in Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, Market Study 2026. Or feel free to take a snapshot, a screen capture of our QR code. Go to the study. We are studying all about how coaches are picked, chosen, and selected in the marketplace. And it's going to be a fantastic, fantastic research. I am finding so much out already from the responses that we've had. And we're going to be doing actual debrief on this on March, the first Thursday in March. So more to come about that. And of course, when you participate and get your voice heard, you will be part of our founding contributor recognition. And we're going to hold that program over until this Friday. So be sure respond to the research project and you will be recognized globally as a contributing recognition partner. So thank you for that. Okay. So let's jump in with our speaker. And I'll tell you, there's a lot to tell you about Susanne Ekström, and I want to just read from my prepared notes for her because she is a phenomenal person, consultant, speaker, author. And we know, ladies, that today's conversation is really all about what separates organizations, consultants, coaches, trusted advisors from those that are thriving with AI and those that will be left behind. What Susanne is going to talk about is she takes companies that are in a firefighting mode to companies that work together, team members that work together in a shared brain in a collaborative mode. Susanne is a CEO advisor, an entrepreneur, and #1 international best-selling author of Smarter Leadership and Leadership Development. So excited to have your book, Susanne. And also the Smarter Leadership series, the ultimate blueprint for smarter leaders, where she's challenging old ways of managing and is showing organizations how to build leverage and gain speed by creating a shared collaborative environment. And her work is shaped by more than 2 decades in management consulting and a pivotal early experience scaling a high-tech, high-growth company that that had some challenges, and she learned and used it as the phoenix to grow herself and her business, taking all of those lessons so that we don't have to, and her company clients don't have to go through the same thing. She helps teams decide faster, reduce management fatigue, and scale results without adding layers and layers and layers of management. Susanne, we're so happy to have you with us. And please, ladies, notice her fabulous books. You can buy them on Amazon and on your website as well, Susanne. Please help me welcome our guest speaker, our esteemed faculty member, Susanne Ekström. Feel free, take yourself off mute and let's just welcome her with a big Yahoo and Wahoo, whatever works for
Welcome,
you.
welcome.
Excited. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a great honor to be here and to be speaking to you about this topic today. And yeah, I have really looked forward to this, and now it's time. So I will be sharing my slides.
Thank you, Susanne. And we'll have questions we can put in the chat. You'll keep this flowing. So if when everyone has questions during your presentation and or right afterwards, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if someone can help me manage if there are any questions in the chat
Sure.
or someone raises their hand or anything, because I will be focused on the presentation.
Absolutely. We'll do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Great. So hugely welcome to this session about building a future-ready organization that thrives on change. My name is Susanne Ekström, and I work with CEOs and leadership teams, mostly in established companies across Europe and the US. And let me see. So what I see over and over again is that leaders are capable and their people are smart, but the systems and the processes they have are slow and not working together. So today I want to talk about why that happens and what leaders can do differently. And as Kathleen said, I have written 2 books in what I call the Smarter Leadership series. And the first part is about the inner leadership, how you can lead yourself to become a smarter leader. But even smarter leaders with strong inner skills hit a limit. And that is when the systems and the setup around them can't carry the leadership. That is why the second part focuses on the outer leadership, but within the company. How leadership scales through systems, structures, and now AI. How decisions, authority, and responsibility actually should flow in what I call a new leadership architecture. And this will be the theme for this presentation today. And as I said, most organizations today, they are not failing. They are not broken. They are not poorly led. And they are doing exactly what they are designed to do. But the world is changing faster than ever. New customer expectations, new technologies, new regulations worldwide, and increased competition, etc., etc. And most organizational systems, they were designed for a different reality. They were built for stability, predictability, and control. And the challenge leaders feel today comes from a mismatch where leaders now sit in the middle of these 3 parts. And the parts are a fast changing environment, stable systems and processes, and a control-based leadership. So leadership today carries much more responsibility than ever before. And it's more complex. And decisions aren't just made within one function, one unit, one department, for example. They cut across different silos, technologies, people. They share larger risks. It cuts through via the customers, suppliers, and brands. And at the same time, many leadership roles are still designed around the assumption that the leader will personally oversee and control what matters most. And this creates bottlenecks, pressure, and frustration. And it's really, really hard to scale. This won't be a technical talk. It's not about the tools. It's about the leverage. How leadership can create speed and how intelligence can be shared in a smarter way. So let me introduce what I call the cathedral. The structures most organizations run on today, they were not mistakes. They were a really, really smart design for their time, regardless if they started 5, 10, or 40 years ago. The top-down structure reduced risks, and control creates safety. And this model has worked extremely well, and it's also why it still exists. But the problem is not the past, it's the present and the future. Something has changed, and that is obvious in the world today. So in practice, this design creates a very specific pattern. Information flows upwards in the cathedral for validation, and decision flows downwards for execution. Every layer adds time, and every approval mostly adds a need for coordination. And in a cathedral, we also have these like solid stone walls between different parts of the organization, creating silos, both of people and of systems. And no one intends to slow things down. That is not the obvious reason, but the structure does it automatically. And this creates what I call gray work. Work that feels necessary and often really is, but it doesn't actually move anything forward. So gray work is draining because it consumes attention without creating any progress. And this often leads to leaders feeling mentally tired, and not just leaders, everyone. And over time, this gray work becomes a hidden cost, what I call the managerial tax, sorry, not a task, tax. And this is the time spent, you spend on aligning, coordinating, clarifying, informing. I guess you know it all. And many leaders feel this tax, but they don't have a way to describe it. And you pay it every day, and it never shows up in any financial reports. So identifying this managerial task, it's really important, because when you have identified it, you can do something about it. Now, let's go back to how the leadership roles were designed in the cathedral, in a generic way of speaking. So in most organizations, the leadership role was built around one core idea, that the leader is the central decision maker. This made sense when the environment was more stable and the organization was easier to understand from the top. The leaders could hold most of the context in their heads. So all the different things, it fitted into the brain. They could see the bigger picture, and they could control the risks and the people. But as complexity increases, something changes. The leader doesn't become less capable, but the job becomes too big for one or a couple of people to carry. So the leadership role needs to evolve. The future leader is not someone who decides everything faster. It's someone who designs how decisions happen. an orchestrator who focus on where decisions should be made, what context people need to decide well, and what should not be escalated anymore. And this is not about letting go of responsibility, but moving responsibility into the system where the actual work is done. And many leaders actually feel relieved when they hear this, because it explains why trying harder stopped working. And that it is their own role that needs a redesign. That is also a bit scary, but that is what's needed. And this is where AI fits in a very practical way. Leaders often don't need help making decisions. And if they need that, we have another problem. So they don't need help making decisions, but they need help freeing up their cognitive load, which is the mental effort it takes just to keep things going. The same goes for the people. Using AI in the right way, you don't need to replace your team. You're leveraging AI to free your people's time up from the mundane, repeatable tasks, so they can create, innovate, and make faster and better decisions. Also, think about how you can use AI as a fantastic chief of staff to filter information, highlight what matters, prepare your decisions, etc. This is exactly where AI adds value. AI doesn't make, and never ever should make, decisions. It should prepare the leaders and their people to make better ones. But when you let the AI do the decisions, you are on thin ice. You need your judgment to be able to stand for the decisions. And used well, AI removes bottlenecks, overhead, delays, but not authority. It removes the need to search across systems for information, the need to manually summarize updates and coordinate things into Excel spreadsheets and to really do the financial reports, etc. And the constant back and forth just to get clarity on something or book a meeting with external people, for example. But the judgment, the accountability, and the leadership always stay human. You might not have this set up yet, but I bet that your people are already using AI without your knowledge or your approval. Leaders might see or suspect that their people are using unauthorized tools, and they might think, what's happening? Are we losing control? Is this risky? Definitely valid concerns. But your people, they don't create these workarounds because they want to break rules. They do it because your official systems and processes makes their work harder than it needs to be. So, shadow AI is a proof of that. It shows you where the system is too slow for reality and where your leadership design hasn't caught up yet. So when leaders treat this as a positive signal instead of a threat or a big no, they can together create a roadmap how to change this for the better in a safe way, creating a so-called shared brain. Most organizations, have a memory problem, not a data problem. Important decisions, for example, are made in meetings, and then the reasoning behind them just disappears. Much information stays in people's inboxes and files, and lots of knowledge lives only in people's heads. A shared brain means the organization remembers with you. Decisions are captured and the why behind them is known. People can see what's already been decided and why. And the systems are connected and can trigger new actions based on input data in one system into another. And when this exists, people stop guessing and escalating things unnecessarily, or stopping their work to get clarification. And just this part of the leadership is a relief in pressure that most people is more than most people expect. So this is a huge one. Unfortunately, a shared brain doesn't appear just because you add AI. It starts with something much more basic, and that's cleaning your pipes. Most organizations have too many tools, you know that, and the info lives in project tools, emails, documents, ERP systems, CRM systems, etc., 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 etc. And often the same information exists, maybe in 5 different versions. We have 5 types of client information, one in the CRM, one in the ERP, etc. And your people, they don't know which version to trust. And they spend time checking, reconciling, asking around, and leaders then become the final source of truth. So clean the pipes and remove the system silos, and then integrate, and after that start automating. That means deciding which systems actually matter, which information needs to flow between them, and what can be deleted. Because deleting is just as important as adding. And every silo you remove reduces the cognitive load. And every new clean connection will increase your speed. And this is not an IT exercise. This is a leadership decision. Because once the pipes are clean, AI can actually help people think and decide instead of just moving mess around faster. So up to this point, we pretty much talked about systems, structures, and flows. Now, let's bring this back to you and your people. Most organizations try to empower people by pushing responsibility out in the organization. But responsibility without support doesn't fully work. Like let them search for information, try to reconstruct past decisions, check whether something is still valid, and often worrying about what they might be missing. That's not a great support system for your middle managers, for example. This is where the Centaur model comes into place, giving your people a sort of a digital horse. So they can go further and faster than they could on their own, connected to the shared brain. And if we are going to build these Centaur teams, we also have to change how we measure the way people work. And in the cathedral, we often measured output. We looked at what they produced. And in an AI world, output is really, really cheap. AI can generate thousands of reports in just 1 minute. So if you continue to measure your team on output, you are encouraging them to be busy rather than effective. So you want to rewrite your job or role description to focus on judgment rather than output. And when systems, leadership roles, and your environment starts to align, trust increases because people have clarity. Speed increases because coordination costs drop. And resilience increases because the organization doesn't rely on a few specific extra special individuals. So leadership stops feeling fragile, and if one person is away, things still moves on. And that is what leverage feels like. And this is the huge change behind everything we talked about. A cathedral organization relies on control. Decisions moves up, and authority sits at the center, and safety comes from the whole approval system. A colony works differently, also often explained as a network. So in a network or a colony, and a colony is in a biological sense, intelligence is distributed. People, they don't wait for permission because they act with accountability. And clarity is built into the systems, and people know what decisions they own, what principle guides them, and when escalation is actually needed. So this is how organizations move fast without burning out leaders or their people. And this is where AI and shared intelligence truly support the leadership. And this is what a future-ready organization feels like. Confident, because people know what, when, and who to decide. Fast, because decisions don't pile up at the top. And adaptive, because intelligence lives throughout the system. And this is not about removing or replacing leaders. This is about freeing leaders to do the work only they can do. And this is totally your choice, if you're adapting to this or not. But if you don't intentionally design how decisions, information, and responsibility flow, the system will design your role for you. And that usually means more escalation, more pressure, and less leverage. And as Jim Rohn said, I don't know how to pronounce that, either you run the day or the day runs you. So if you like today's content and ideas, you find more of this in my Smarter Leadership books. And book number 1, as I said, is for the inner mastery, and book number 2 is for leadership that scales. And in both the books, you will also find real-world examples and 99-day roadmaps on how you can begin or continue your work. And the book number 2 will be available in paper and hardback at the latest from the 9th of February. It is as an ebook just now on Amazon. And here is the QR code to the book series on Amazon. So now, do you have any questions?
Well, Susanne, we sure do. We sure do.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. And feel free, take a screen capture of this page. How fun, what questions, yep, might we have exactly. And Suzanne, I'm going to jump in and maybe we could go back to gallery mode
Yeah.
and tell us about the companies that utilize your methodology, your systems, your frameworks, your whole program. What
Mm.
what kinds of companies are best suited for this? Tell us about, the size, kind of the before and the after.
Yeah. One type of company is the companies, of course, that don't have any structures yet, that are building from start. But I find it most interesting and fun to work with established companies companies that already have systems, customers, experiences, and the knowledge of how to run the business and create beautiful products and services together with the clients. And often when a new startup comes along, they can reduce the speed. They can reduce like the, what do you say? Now I just lost it. But they can deliver much faster, for example. So then if that is just the only thing that the client wants, then of course they will change to the new competitor. But if you bring your knowledge, your experience and everything, and create this share brain, create the systems needed so that you can also predict the future. You can ask your share brain, what happens if someone puts tolls on Sweden, for example? What will happen to SKF, for example? Then the shared brain can actually help you to do a lot of what if analysis. Yeah, I have a hard time pronounce that word, but yeah. So this is for you can use it within a part of company to start with, to clean the pipes, to create a shared brain in one area of your company, for example, or you can do it as a whole at start. But many companies start with pilots, and they see, like, we test it with a couple of systems where we really see the huge benefit of integrating them. And as I also mentioned this about shadow AI, it's people don't want to deliberately share secure data from your system, your secure information, but going into a chat GPT prompt and just asking for help to create a report, they might not realize what implication that will have on the company, because then that data will be shared and used in the AI systems to bring answers to other people that ask queries or prompts. So you can build up, like, I don't know if you know the expression of a sandbox, like a test environment where you buy AI systems like for corporate usage instead of the public ones. And there you can integrate all your systems in a safe environment, and then you can slowly release it to your people within the company so they can start using it and know that this is our information, it's our data, and no one else will have access to it.
Yes.
But mostly I would say that companies from 100 people something and upwards to really, really large organizations. The largest organizations are often the ones that are way ahead, I would say, because they have the manpower, they have the financial status, and so they can do this in a larger scale. The middle-sized companies, small and middle-sized companies are not yet really seeing, I would say, the leverage in doing this. And that is a risk for them, because suddenly they can be out of business in just a couple of months.
Absolutely.
So
And
what has always worked is not true anymore. We have always done it this way is not a good way to treat the market anymore.
and your cathedral metaphor, ladies, how many have you really resonated with that metaphor? It made so much sense versus the colony and the network. I'm also curious, Susanne, to share with us and for all of us here, this concept that you bring forward about cognitive load. I'm
Mm,
curious for all of you, how many of you are noticing with your clients that their cognitive load is really increasing and it's creating additional stress and anxiety and it's rippling into absenteeism and lack of engagement, all these things. Jump in, give us your point of view. What are you seeing around cognitive load, organizations, all of this? It's so darn complex and so timely. Yeah, feel free, take yourself off mute.
Well, I'm an only, and the companies I work with are pretty small. But just in general observation, I think one of the biggest issues is understaffed, overworked. And we see that all the time. And but convincing somebody that they need to do this is probably the biggest task. And I love the cathedral analogy. Oh yeah, those stone walls that are like 10 feet thick. Mm-hmm.
Old world, right?
mm,
Important, but old world. Yeah, yeah, thank you. And certainly all of this cognitive overload, Suzanne, that you talk about, of course, in
mm,
your first book, is it's showing up now more than ever
mm,
with with the impact on employees, on people, the colony itself.
mm. And
I don't
also
know that
this
the
about
colony is getting healthier. Yeah, please.
what AI creates. You have to be careful, because it can create too much, so you don't know what you actually are going to make a decision on, because you have so much information from all over the place, and then you haven't built your shared brain in the best possible way, because it should help you instead of just overload you with the data.
Yes,
And
So that
and
is
I
absolutely.
also
would
something for the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would add that because of that, people are trying to rush through decisions instead of taking the time to really add that human
Mm,
element of review. They're like,
mm,
"Oh, we've got this. We can just run with it," instead of making sure they've really validated, is it the right direction to run? And
mm.
then they're having to look back and go, "Oh crap, we missed what?"
Yeah, and we don't know why or how or whatever. And
Mhm.
maybe if you are a company with that are a public figure out on the market, and you do something really wrong, and an AI made that decision for you, good luck. So for every decision you are making, you need to know who is making the human judgment for this decision, so that we can always say that this is backed up by someone.
The connection, the company corporate brain, the shared brain, all of those things that you're getting different points of view, you're getting different angles, accountability, responsibility, all of those things, right?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really great. Yeah.
Oh.
Terry, jump in, please. Yeah. And
Yeah, first of all, Suzanne, I love your use of the word colony for the distributed decision making. That makes it feel so much more human than just referring it to as we tend to think of networks as something that's mechanical or artificial sometimes when we're talking about this. But what are you seeing as the biggest obstacles, the roadblocks that companies are encountering or creating for themselves when they want to implement this. The cognitive load is real, the fears are real. What are you seeing that are the roadblocks, and how are you getting them to take advantage of these things?
I would say in a way that it's lack of knowledge of how to actually do it from every area of the company, from IT, from business. And what if we make something wrong? What if information slips out? What if we build something that is uncontrollable? What if we destroy our systems, or like destroy the data? It will take so much time, it will cost so much, and that are like cost of what do you say? Not opportunity cost, but the other way. Yeah, so yeah, you could say in a way that it's opportunity cost, because you are missing out on future opportunities by not doing this. And but also many of the legacy systems are so really boxed in and siloed, and are protected by their suppliers, or like SAP or these ERP systems. So it's not so easy either to create this share brain in at the moment. So you need to really think about the steps you are doing it. So you're doing it in the right way, and you also need to be looking at all the different types of system you have. But you can do it pretty easily with project tools, emails, data, and folders, and SharePoint, and Slack, and all of those things. But when you come to the really legacy systems, that is where the huge benefits are. But that's when people get scared.
Mm.
To start integrating their systems, and also in a way because that will put to the surface what they don't know. So if they thought that they had control before, they might see a total other picture, and that is also scary.
And
Yeah.
hence you coming in
Mhm.
as the organizational development expert and the shared brain expert to come in and be able to see these systems and see the cathedrals in place and to help guide them to a shared colony is really powerful, Susanne.
Thank you.
Really great. Yeah, good, good. So if there are any other questions, we want to wrap up and share our biggest takeaways and, of course, our appreciation for you as well, Susanne. Anything else that you'd like to share? Really important concepts here and really important learnings. My gosh, this methodology, Susanne, changes the game for companies. And what I love so much too is that you can do this whole transformation, get it going in a pilot, and be able to do this in 99 days or less, which is really powerful. Hence to your point about speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
good. That's the name of the game. Good.
Yeah, and I
Very
want to
good.
thank you all for coming and listening to this presentation, and asking questions as well. It's
Thank
been
you,
great.
Great.
Suzanne. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Well, I will say I learned so much. I have a full page of notes, and in my mind, I'm thinking about who it is that I know who needs to talk to you. And so definitely I'll be reposting the replay. The replay will be out in 24 hours, reposting and also tagging some companies, some individuals and executives that could watch the replay and have a conversation with you, Suzanne. So thank you.
Thank you
Lots of
so much.
takeaways. Yeah. Passing the baton.
Well, I made a particular note of you're referring to shadow AI, reframing that, as system feedback. And that is so helpful because I hear so many managers and executive leaders panicking
Yeah.
over my people are out there doing stuff and I don't know what it is. And being able to reframe that is they're in position to give you really good feedback. It's just fabulous. So thank you.
Thank you.
Well, and I think so many, fear is obviously the biggest thing out there. And as you said, people are like, oh my God, my data is going to go everywhere. Well, there's a lot of solutions now where it can all be in-house.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest thing that people need to remember is you don't have to share.
Just internally share.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Have the systems in place
Yep.
to do a closed loop.
That's
Yeah.
where the walls come
Technology.
back. So maybe it's a moat.
Yeah, exactly.
Colony with some cathedral and moats in place,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, very, very wise, Deb. Thank you. Yep. And thanks, Terry. Yeah, good. Anyone else? Feedback and appreciation for you, Suzanne. Yeah. Carol, you are on mute, dear. Yeah.
So I really appreciated, Susanne, your thoughtful frameworks. I loved that cathedral, and I loved how you can reverence how important that structure was for the time it was built, and then move on. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. Great. Yeah,
Very good.
it's been working for so many years, and it's hard to sort of get rid of or transform into another thing. And so in a way, for the companies that start now, it's easier to start out as a colony, but there are so many benefits to start transforming your cathedral type of organization as well.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. Well, good. Well, thank you. Thank you. What a glorious program. And we are so grateful for you, Suzanne, to bring your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience, and your very, very powerful point of view, backed up by great data and great experience. So with that, ladies, thank you. We'll sparkle and give you some appreciation, Suzanne. Thank you. More goodness to come, ladies. Bye for now. We'll see you next time. And it'll be great. Good. Thanks. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.